In this week's video, I want to take you back in time to when Jesus walked the earth. The story starts as light fades from the sky. Jesus has just performed one of his best known miracles. It's the only pre-Calvary miracle recorded in all four of the Gospels. He's fed 5,000 men, not counting the women and children that were there. He sends his followers into a fishing boat and tells them to sail to the other side of the Sea of Galilee. As the crowd disperses, he heads up into a mountain to pray. And so we take up our tale from the Bible. The book of Matthew, chapter 14 and verse 24 says, "But the boat by this time was a long way off from the land, beaten by the waves, for the wind was against them. And in the fourth watch of the night he came to them walking on the sea. But when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified and said, 'It's a ghost!' And they cried out in fear." Fortunately, we don't mark out time by watches anymore. I mean, we use our watch to tell the time, but that's not what this is talking about. In the Roman world, the fourth watch of the night was between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m., the darkest watch of the night. And so we find a group of men in a small boat in the darkest part of the night, striving to reach the other side in safety. Hope dwindling from them as exhaustion starts to set in. In their desperation, they see a shadowy figure walking on the water. Is this a demon come to destroy them? Or is it an angel coming to take their souls to Sheol? But a voice speaks through the storm, a voice they knew. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, "Take heart, it is I, do not be afraid." Notice Jesus didn't leave them in their fear. And Peter answered him, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." And he said, "Come." So Peter got out of the boat and walked on the water and came to Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid. And beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me." Jesus immediately reached out his hand and took hold of him, saying to him, "O you of little faith, why did you doubt?" Peter, ever one to open his big mouth, asked Jesus to prove himself to them. "Call me to you." One word was all the answer he needed. Come. I always wonder if I could do what Peter did. Swing my leg over the side of the boat and let the sole of my foot touch the icy water. But Peter did and started to walk towards Jesus. As he reached his master, he took his eyes off Jesus and saw the storm around about him. He saw the reality of the situation that he was in. Peter, overcome with the thought of the storm around about him, began to sink. His immediate thought was not to try and swim back to the boat and seek the safety of his friend, not to rely on his own efforts for salvation or rescue. He didn't ask those in the boat to ask Jesus for help on his behalf, but rather he called out to one who proved that he had control of this situation. He cried out to Jesus, not a long prayer, not "if I swim this far, then save me at that point." No, 3 words is all it took. Lord, save me. But these three words showed the state of Peter's heart. It showed that he knew he was in danger. It showed he knew he could not save himself. It showed he knew the only person that could help him. It was a cry for instant salvation from the threat. He needed help. He needed help now. And only Jesus could help him in his need. And so he asked for it. And help was there. Notice the word immediately. There was no act of penance for Peter to perform. No act of charity or good deed. There was only a hand around his, firmly pulling him closer, pulling him to safety. This story tells me so much of our relationship with God. It reminds me that we are in danger. It reminds me that we are all in trouble. We have all done things that God has decreed are wrong. And these wrongdoings would result in our death, just as Peter would have died in that boat. Not just our physical death, but our spiritual one as well. The storm that has battered us thus far in life will overcome us eventually. There is no hope to be found in our friends in the boat. No hope in our own strength and struggles. Hope is only to be found in Jesus. Only He can stretch out His hand to save us. But we must cry as Peter did, "Lord, save me." We can be saved, not just from our immediate risk, from the consequences of our wrongdoing against God and others. More than that, we can know peace. Jesus walks with us through the storm so that we know we will be safe. Uncertainty and danger may howl in our ears, dark and terrible. But with Jesus by our side, we need not fear. But to have this, we must ask Jesus to step into our lives and save us, trusting that He can and He will save us immediately.